Guys, I'm Steve. In this video, I'm going to be going over some potentially overlooked waiver wire targets for week 13. Might still be on your waiver wire. So let's just dive right into it here. So we're going to start with some running backs. First I have Benny Snell of the Pittsburgh Steelers. So with Benny Snell, I'm sure he was higher on most people's waiver wire lists this week. But I'm trying to look at the whole picture when we consider this Pittsburgh Steelers backfield. Najee Harris left Monday's game with the abdominal injury. He left early. He had a noticeable limp. So that left Benny Snell and Anthony McFarland as the only two backs, their top two backs for that game. We aren't really sure the extent of Najee Harris's injury. Reports are suggesting that he escaped a major injury, so that's obviously a good sign. But again, he was moving very gingerly. So with that being said, Jaylen Warren, he didn't play in week 12 due to his hamstring injury, but he very well could return this coming week in week 13. This backfield's certainly very muddy at the moment. Benny Snell on Monday night, he had 12 rushes for 62 yards and 1 touchdown, adding 1 catch for 6 yards. His backfield teammate there, Anthony McFarland, he chipped in as well, adding 6 rushes for 30 yards and then 2 catches for 11 receiving yards. Ultimately, I think this backfield is going to be committee, but if Jaylen Warren and Najee Harris are both ultimately ruled out this week, I think Benny Snell has the best chance to carve out a decent little flex role if you needed him. But, proceed with caution with these players, So we're going to jump here to Tevin Coleman of the San Francisco 49ers, a very unattractive name, of course, but with the uncertainty of Christian McCaffrey, all signs are pointing to him suiting up, but the chance he doesn't, Tevin Coleman becomes an interesting deep league stash. Tevin Coleman, he does need a lot to go right for him to even be worthy of being startable, but he still has the 2 backs ahead of him, Tyrion Davis-Price and Jordan Mason. But we just don't know what's going to happen yet. Don't underestimate Kyle Shanahan's likeness for Tevin Coleman. He has shown a proven trust in him dating back to their Atlanta days. So in week 5 against the Carolina Panthers, Tevin Coleman, he had 8 rush attempts for 23 yards, 1 rushing score, while adding 3 catches for another 44 receiving yards and another score. San Francisco has the 16th easiest schedule for running backs based on opponent. It's a long shot, but with Kyle Shanahan and the way he uses his backfield and the way he uses his running backs, maybe there's a chance. I think he's worth an ad at the very least anyway. So jump into some wide receivers here. We're going to start with Isaiah McKenzie. Last 3 weeks, Isaiah McKenzie's snap counts have been 52, 26, and 56. Little inconsistent, little up and down. On the year, he's averaging 38 snaps a game. With that being said, his stats on the year are 30 catches on 45 targets for, I don't have the yards, with 4 total TD receptions. I think his yards were like 400 yards, somewhere around there. He broke out this week against the Lions here. He had 6 catches on 10 targets, making for a 26% target share, having 96 yards and 1 receiving score, chipping in 2 rushes for 7 rushing yards. He ran a total of 40 routes, running a route on 74% of the dropbacks. He certainly is very boom or bust, just like his teammate Gabriel Davis. The next 2 games, they play 2 division rivals in the New England Patriots and the New York Jets. If he can keep the momentum going, he's a decent little flex play going forward. But again, we need to keep our expectations low because he has been very boom and very bust this year, Isaiah McKenzie. I think we all had high expectations for him coming into the season, and they just didn't flourish, unfortunately. Jumping over to another wide receiver here, Corey Davis of the New York Jets. He didn't have that sexy, flashy stat line that Elijah Moore did, but he certainly had those really good underlying stats that we don't see on paper. He had more snaps than Elijah Moore. He had 43 to Elijah Moore's 22. He ran more routes. He had 23 routes ran to Elijah Moore's 13 routes. He had 1 more target on the day. He only had 3. Elijah Moore had 2, so that's whatever. So obviously we want to see these stats increase. Only having the 1 catch for 9 yards on 3 targets, Corey Davis, but all those other underlying stats are very, very good for a player like Corey Davis. And moving forward, if he can develop a little chemistry here with Mike White, hey, there's certainly a lot of upside there. especially if they do keep Mike White in for the foreseeable future. That's the only way the Jets are going to be good, is if they keep Mike White in. So jumping to another wide receiver here, Kendall Hinton of the Denver Broncos. So with Kendall Hinton, he has a great matchup against this Baltimore Ravens secondary. They rank 7th in fantasy points allowed per game to slot receivers. This Baltimore Ravens secondary is giving up almost 253 yards of passing a game. Kendall Hinton in Week 12, he led his team in target share with a 25.7% target share, having 9 targets with 5 catches for 35 receiving yards, adding 1 rush for 13 additional rushing yards. The Broncos' pass offense has been nothing short of poor. But that old Russell Wilson from Seattle is in there. What's it going to take to unlock him? We don't know. When are we going to see them? We don't know that either. But it's in there. And for that reason alone, with this matchup, with Kendall Hinton, as long as Jerry Jeudy remains sidelined, you can take a flyer on Kendall Hinton. But going back to what I was saying about Russell Wilson, it's in there. We just don't know when we're going to see it again. Yeah, it's just a wait and see kind of thing, I guess. And yeah, very, very poor. Very, very, very poor offense right now. So we're going to jump to some tight ends here. So Jelani Woods of the Indianapolis Colts. I mean, that's one way to make your name for yourself as a rookie. Have 8 catches on 9 targets. Have 98 receiving yards while also leading your team in receiving. Didn't get the win, but hey, that's solid. Coming out of Virginia, there, the man, he's an absolute beast. He is very big. He measures in at 6'7", running a 4.61 40-yard dash. He had a solid final year at Virginia before entering the NFL, ranking 3rd in the nation with 8 receiving TDs and ranking 12th in receiving yards. We're not sure how this is going to transition the rest of the season. Matt Ryan, noodle arm, more or less. So if he's going to continue to dump off those underneath throws to his tight ends and his running backs, a player with this kind of explosiveness and athleticism, he is certainly worth a roster spot on your team. So jumping to another tight end here. This is more maybe for next week, maybe next week's waiver wire ads. Maybe this week, depending on how bad your tight end situation is. We're going to go to Daniel Bellinger of the New York Giants. He's looking like he has a shot to play this week. He hasn't played since Week 7, since suffering that broken eye socket against the Jacksonville Jaguars. He would immediately return to their primary pass-catching tight end. Maybe providing a boost for the offense, who is already without Wan'Dale Robinson for the rest of the year. The Giants need playmakers, man. The schedule, it doesn't do them any favors. It's very rough down the stretch. But if you need a tight end and he's one producing and he's on your waiver wire, hey, I think he's at least worth a shot anyway. Some QB streamers for this week. Jared Goff, he's been playing very well recently. He's completed over 62% of his passes the last 3 weeks, playing a Jags defense, giving up 248 yards of pass yards a game. He's definitely worth a flyer. He's got a great offense. Amon-Ra St. Brown, DJ Chark is back. He's definitely a good streamer this week. And then the legend himself, Mike White. I just really love saying his name, but really, though, he does have a good matchup against this Vikings secondary. They're giving up 276 yards of passing offense a game. If Mike White can continue his play from Week 12, he's certainly a very solid streamer this week. I think that's all I got for you guys today. I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks.